What's up, fam? Your bro is back, and man, do we have some spicy Bears news today. Rookie minicamp is in full swing, and let me tell you, the vibes coming out of Halas Hall are electric. We're talking about Ben Johnson cooking up some serious schemes, some undrafted gems making noise, and, well, one less competitor in the secondary. So grab your navy and orange, settle in, because we're diving deep into what this all means for Da Bears. Get ready, because what we're about to break down today isn't just information. It's the future of our offense, the depth of our line, and the constant evolution of this team we love so much. This is crazy. Man. Okay, bro, let's get right into the meat and potatoes, because this first story, this is pure gold for us Bears fans. Ben Johnson, our offensive guru, is out here playing chess, not checkers, with these tight ends. And y'all don't understand how hyped I am about this. Last season, we saw Johnson implement 12 and 13 personnel at super high rates, the second highest in the league to be exact. And this isn't a coincidence, fam. This is a direct tactical response to the evolution of the NFL. The league is moving towards those hybrid safeties, those athletic monsters like Derwin James or Nick Emenwari, who can cover a slot receiver like a nickelback, but are also big enough to blitz and plug run gaps like a linebacker. They are the defensive cheat code of the moment. And what's Ben Johnson's solution? Simple but brilliant. Put big athletic tight ends on the field who can match their speed and size. And not just one, but two or three of those guys. How the heck can a defense match that? It's a constant mismatch, a nightmare for defensive coordinators. So after drafting Colston Loveland in the first round last year, a guy who already showed a lot of promise, and with Cole Kmet, our reliable veteran, already established, what do? We go and draft Sam Roush in the third round, a 6'6" monster with a 4.7 second 40-yard dash speed. This is the perfect prototype to break those defensive schemes. Roush is a checkmate piece, as they call him, a guy who gives you the versatility to block in the run game with authority and then go out on a route and be a vertical threat. His ability to finish through the whistle, as Johnson said, is crucial for the type of physical offense we want to build. But here comes what's got me going crazy, bro. Ben Johnson, the mad scientist, had his eyes on another guy, an undrafted free agent from Iowa, Hayden Large. And this is what makes me think we're in the hands of a genius. Johnson himself called Large before the draft, telling him, "Hey, we've got a vision for you." Think about it, man. A head coach personally calling an UDFA before he's even drafted. That's not normal. That shows a level of interest and a vision that goes beyond the superficial. And even after we picked Roush in the third round, a pretty high pick for a tight end, Large didn't bat an eye. He wanted to be a Bear. That fam speaks volumes about his mentality, his character, and his desire to be in this system. He's a guy who wants to compete, who wants to be part of what we're building. Now on paper, Large isn't a stat sheet stuffer. 8 catches for 52 yards in 2025 at Iowa. He's 6'4", 250 pounds, ran a 4.7 240, but here's the kicker. His raw athletic score was 8.92, which puts him in the top 15% of tight ends since 1987. That's an elite athlete, bro, and most importantly, he was mainly a run blocker, a fullback hybrid in college. Sound familiar? This is where it gets juicy, bro. Johnson helped turn Sam Laporta, another Iowa tight end who barely caught a touchdown in his final college season, into a 10-touchdown monster in his rookie year with the Lions. And it's not just Laporta. Iowa has an incredible history of producing NFL-ready tight ends. Noah Fant, TJ Hawkinson, and of course the one and only George Kittle. And Kittle, man, he was also a run blocker in college with modest stats until Kyle Shanahan unlocked his full potential in the NFL. So when Ben Johnson says he has a vision for Hayden Large, I'm listening. I'm not just listening, I'm leaning in, almost falling out of my chair. Could Large be the next Kittle, the next Laporta, a guy who comes in, blocks his butt off with brutal intensity, and then, with Johnson's creative play calling, suddenly becomes a receiving threat that defenses just can't handle? This is the kind of move that wins championships. Man, finding those hidden gems, those guys with the right mindset and the raw tools, and then developing them in a system that knows how to exploit their strengths. This isn't luck, fam. This is Ben Johnson's philosophy in action. It's the vision of a head coach who understands how to create mismatches and how to maximize his players' talent. That's why we trust Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson. That's why we bear down. Depth at the tight end position isn't a luxury. It's a necessity in this modern offense, and Johnson knows it. Okay, so we're talking about undrafted guys, right? And speaking of hidden gems and the front office's vision, let's talk about Caden Barnett, the offensive lineman from Wyoming. This dude, man, he's got a 9.54 relative athletic score. That's elite for an offensive lineman. To put it in perspective, a RAS over 9.0 puts you in an elite athlete category in the NFL, and the Bears, they made an unusual commitment to him, a $277,500 guaranteed contract. That's not chump change for an undrafted guy, fam. That's not a let's see if it works out. That's an investment. That tells you they see something special, something that goes beyond draft numbers. Ben Johnson himself, who doesn't usually shower UDFAs with praise, said he plays the way we want to play it. There's a physical demeanor about him, and that's what you can't coach. Bro, you can coach technique, you can clean up footwork, you can refine hand placement, but that aggression, that nastiness, that desire to finish through the whistle, that's innate. That's what you look for in an offensive lineman. It's the mentality that Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson are instilling in this team. Barnett played guard and tackle in college, but he sees himself as an interior player, guard or center, and with Jonah Jackson and Darnell Wright locking down the right side of our line, Barnett could be that invaluable swing backup, that depth piece we desperately need. Think about it, man. Offensive line injuries are a brutal reality in the NFL. Having a guy with Barnett's versatility and athleticism who can play multiple interior positions and, in a pinch, even tackle, is an insurance policy for our offense. Bleacher Report and The Athletic, two respected sources, are both saying he has a real shot at making the 53-man roster. A former wrestler with big-time power in the run game, Lance Zierlein of NFL Media, a guy who knows his stuff, projected him as a 6th-round pick, saying he has NFL-caliber measurables and slightly above-average athletic testing, and most importantly, his grip strength works in his favor in pass protection. That's crucial, fam. We don't just want run blockers. We need guys who can protect Caleb Williams. Look, our offensive line is already one of the best in the league. With Jackson and Thuney, yes, the trade for Thuney was a master move by Poles, solidifying the interior, but you can never have too much depth, especially with the grind of an NFL season. If Barnett can take coaching from Dan Rauscher, our O-line coach, and continue to develop that physical edge and polish his technique, he could be another UDFA success story for the Bears. This is the kind of smart, calculated risk that builds a contender, that ensures the longevity of the offense, and that protects our franchise quarterback. It's proof that Poles and Johnson leave no stone unturned in the search for talent, no matter where it comes from. Now, let's switch gears a little, because not every story is sunshine and rainbows. We've got to talk about Zah Frasier, the 2025 5th-round pick, waived after just one season. And man, this whole situation has been a mystery from the jump. Frasier didn't play a single snap last year due to personal reasons. Ryan Poles himself, our GM, said it was something that happened before he got here, and they were trying to help him out. That's a very specific statement, fam. It suggests it wasn't a typical injury or performance issue, but something deeper and more personal. Fast forward to this year, and Frasier posts in January that he's medically cleared. We all thought, okay, maybe he's back. Maybe he competes for that boundary corner spot. There was a small spark of hope that he could redeem himself and show the talent Poles saw in him to draft him. But then Poles comes out in January and says Frasier has a mountain to climb to contribute in his second season and that he needed to play. That was a clear warning sign, bro. It's not the kind of comment you make about a player you have a lot of faith in. And now he's gone. Ben Johnson, when asked about the release, just said, Zah's a guy we've had here for over a year. When we're looking at the roster, where we're at, where he's at, it was time to part ways. No specifics, no real answers, which is understandable to some extent as it involves personal matters. But from the team's perspective, it's a cold, hard business decision. Look, it's tough when a draft pick doesn't pan out, especially a 5th-round pick. It's not a 1st-round pick, but it's still a significant investment. We were hoping he could compete with Tyreek Stevenson and Malik Muhammad for that other starting corner spot. The competition in the secondary is fierce, and we needed someone who could step up. But the reality is, with all the mystery, all the time away, and the lack of playing time, it was probably an uphill battle he just couldn't win. This also reminds us that Even with the best front office and the best scouting, not all picks are going to work out. It's part of the game. It's a bummer. Yeah, because you always want to see your players succeed. But at the end of the day, the NFL is a performance business, and this decision, while painful for the player, is a sign that Poles and Johnson are committed to having only those on the roster who can contribute immediately or who have a clear path to contribution. It frees up a roster spot and potentially opens the door for another UDFA or a free agent player to get a shot. It's a shame, but it's a decision that, from the team's perspective, makes sense to continue building a competitive roster. All right, Bears Nation, that's a wrap for today, man. What a roller coaster of emotions, right? From the absolute hype of Ben Johnson finding his next Sam Laporta in Hayden Large, a game-changing tactical move to the potential of Caden Barnett, solidifying our offensive line with his athleticism and aggression, and then the unfortunate but necessary parting with Zah Frasier, a lesson about the harsh reality of the NFL. This is what being a Bears fan is all about, bro. The ups and downs, the constant analysis, the unwavering hope, and the faith that our front office is making the right decisions to take us to the top. So what do you think? Is Hayden Large the next big thing, the hidden gem Ben Johnson is going to polish? Can Caden Barnett, with that elite RAS and physical mentality, not only make the 53-man roster, but become a key depth player on our offensive line? And what do you think about the decision to release Frasier? Let me know in the comments below. I want to hear your arguments, your passions, your theories. And if you're still here, if you're still bleeding navy and orange, then you already know what to do. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single piece of Bears news. Until next time, fam, bear down.